Hi, y'all. I'm Allison. January is just around the corner, and with it, the next Start and Stop Buddy read. Now, I asked y'all to come up with a book to recommend based on a list that you have built. And y'all really came through. We have 17 books that are going to be put on our wheel that we will be spinning here just a little bit. And we'll be narrowing down that list of 17 to 3. And then I'm going to put it up for our vote. And y'all will decide what book we'll be reading and reacting to during the month of January. So let's get right into this list of books. Y'all really knocked it out of the park this time. We've got a wide variety too, which is awesome. Our first book comes from Michael E. off of his 24 and 24 list, and it is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I've owned this for a while and haven't gotten to it. So this historical mystery came out in 2001. It is set in 1945 Barcelona after the Civil War. An autistic reader gave us a book that she wishes more people have read, and that is The End of Temperance Dare by Wendy Webb. This came out in 2017, and it is a horror mystery, so that could be fun too. Rogue Rosie has a list of 24 and 24, and from that she chose From Below by Darcy Coates. Obviously another one that I own but haven't read yet. This came out in 2022, and it is a horror. Love Darcy Coates. Got quite a few on here that I own and haven't gotten to, which is awesome. Means we're lining up. Okay, another one that I do own. This is from Phoenix Rose. So Phoenix Rose is doing an Empty the Bookcase challenge, trying to read everything before spring. And this is a book that we have talked about buddy reading together in the past, and it is The Map of Time by Felix J. Palma. This is another historical fiction, but it's sci-fi fantasy. This came out in 2008, and we've got Victorian London as our setting, but there's time travel. So, Live a Thousand Lies is The Maiden East by Edith Pateau. This YA fantasy came out in 2003, and this is so cool. She actually has a list of books to recommend for the Start and Stop Buddy reads, and she made a spinner wheel. So she's got her list of books that she wants us to get to, and she spins a wheel to find out which one she's going to recommend each month. I love that. So Stacey L is trying to read a book from each category in the Goodreads Choice Awards. So her selection is Wayward by Amelia Hart. This book actually won the historical fiction category and debut category. This came out in 2023. Historical fiction, magical realism. Let me see when it was set. So we actually have 3 timelines. 2019, 1619, and 1942. Looks like it starts in London, and then she moves to the Wayward Cottage. From Kit Kat 24, we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This came out in 2023. It's historical fantasy, and it was actually a nominee for Best Fantasy on the Goodreads Choice Awards. So this was on Kit Kat's 2023 list. She'd heard great things about it, but had never gotten to it. So Kara Leathers had a list of thrillers that she wanted to read in 2023, and on that list was The Last Word by Taylor Adams. She didn't quite get to it. This did come out in 2023, and it is, of course, a thriller. Moving on, Paigey Girl, down in Australia. She recommends, let me grab it, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the continuation of The Hunger Games. I did see the movie in November, but I have not read the book yet. Paigey Girl hasn't done either, and this is on her 24 and 24 list. And also A Backless Beauty, which I like that. This is obviously a YA dystopian that actually came out in 2020. I haven't read it yet. I thought that was more current than that. From Dolphin 1273, we have Caravel by Stephanie Garber. This is on her 24 and 24 list, and it's a YA fantasy that came out in 2017. I've seen the name of this one go around before, but I haven't read it. So Paco Stick went to Buzzword and chose a book that would fit that prompt, which was There, and There. And it's Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. I haven't read this one yet, and it is a standalone. This one came out in 1939. Obviously, it's a mystery. Speaking of mysteries, Tanya Reid has a 24 and 24 list, and we have A Body and Soul Food by Abby Collette. And this came out in 2021. It is a cozy mystery. The cover is adorable. Kimberly K gives us Hold Back the Night by Shawn Lynch, and this was from her 2023 TBR. She didn't quite get to it. This thriller came out in 2021. Amanda has a 24 and 24 list as well, and she chose The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. This is a historical fiction, came out in 2022, and it is set during World War II. Next up, we have Lucinda C. She is actually pulling from her January TBR list, and this is Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. Came out in 2022, and it is magical realism. Whitney at Tabara's Den has a list of series that she's hoping to start and complete during 2024. And off of that list, she gives us Aragon by Christopher Paolini. I do have that book, but it is upstairs. I love this series, and I have been wanting to do a reread of this one for a long time. It came out in 2022, and it is a YA fantasy. By the way, I just picked up More Talk the other day, so I do plan to reread this at some point. And last but not least, we have Sarah Hart books. I'm glad you made it this time, because last time she missed it by this much. She recommends The Flight Attendant by Chris Vajalian. This is off of her list of gifted books. She's trying to read them all. And this came out in 2018. It is a mystery thriller. And I have to add that her husband chose our random stopping points, which I just love. Say hi to your husband for us, and is he going to read the book with us? That would be fun. All right. There are all of our contenders. So now for the exciting part. We're going to go spin the wheel and find out which 3 of these books will make our shortlist. Then I will create a poll, and the vote will be up for y'all to decide. Let me go pull it up. Okay, here we go. This is so exciting. I can't wait to see. The Flight Attendant, Sarah Hart's books. Your husband's numbers may come into play. Okay, let's give it another go. And our second book is The Diamond Eye, Kate Quinn. This was by Amanda. So your book made the list, and we get one more. I wonder what it's going to be. Okay, here we go. Wayward. That was from Stacey L. All right. So let me take a little bit of a deeper look into these books, and yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, I looked up all of these books, and I do not envy y'all, because I think you're going to have a really hard time choosing, because they all sound phenomenal. So we have a thriller, a historical magical realism, and a historical fiction. So your first option from Sarah Hart's books is The Flight Attendant by Chris Vajalian. This came out in 2018. It's a mystery thriller about the ways an entire life can change in one night. A flight attendant wakes up in the wrong hotel, in the wrong bed, with a dead man, with no idea what happened. As a flight attendant, Cassie gets to indulge her adventurous side, traveling all over the world. She's also a binge drinker that understands the occasional blackout is inevitable. So when she wakes up in this hotel room in Dubai, she's afraid to call the police. She's a single woman, alone in a hotel room, far from home. So Cassie begins to lie. She lies to the other flight attendants and the pilot on the van ride to the airport. She lies while she's working the first class cabin on their flight to Paris. And she lies to the FBI agents who meet her at the gate in New York. It quickly becomes too late for Cassie to come clean or to face the truth of what happened in Dubai. Could she have killed him? If not, who did? This sounds so good and right up my alley. So awesome pick, Sarah. But we have 2 more to consider. So let's move on to Amanda's choice. which was The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. So this historical fiction came out in 2022, and it is actually based on a true story. It's an unforgettable World War II tale of a quiet librarian who becomes history's deadliest sniper. So we're in Kiev, and Hitler's invasion of Russia sends a librarian who's mainly focused on her job and her young son down a much different path. Mila is given a rifle and sent to join the fight, and she becomes a lethal Nazi hunter known as Lady Death. News of her 300th kill makes her a national hero, and she's plucked from the battlefield and sent to America on a goodwill tour. Isolated and lonely in D.C., she develops an unexpected friendship with First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, and an even more unexpected connection with a silent fellow sniper. And these offer her the possibility of happiness. But when an old enemy of Mila's joins forces with a new deadly foe, Lady Death finds herself battling her own demons and enemy bullets in the deadliest duel of her life. Again, sounds incredible. Completely different from The Flight Attendant. Y'all are going to have a hard time picking, because we have one more option, and this one came from Stacey L. It's Wayward by Amelia Hart. And this one weaves together the stories of 3 women over the span of 5 centuries. It's a magical realism historical fiction. So 2019, Kate flees London and her abusive partner for the ramshackle wayward cottage that she inherited from an aunt that she barely remembers. It's not long before she begins to suspect that her great aunt had a secret, one that lurks in the bones of the cottage, hidden ever since the 17th century witch hunts. Then in 1619, we have Alpha, who is awaiting trial for the murder of a local farmer who was stampeded by his herd. Now, Alpha's mother had taught her magic, not the kind rooted in spellcasting, but in a deep understanding of the natural world. But unusual women have always been deemed dangerous, and as evidence of witchcraft is set out against Alpha, she knows it'll take all of her power to maintain her freedom. And then we also have, in 1942, there's Violet, who is living during World War II, and she is trapped in her family's grand crumbling estate, straitjacketed by the societal conventions. She longs for the education that her brother receives, and for her long-deceased mother, who is rumored to have gone mad. The only thing left of her mother is a locket with the initial W on it, and the word wayward scratched into the baseboard of her bedroom. So these 3 lives are going to be woven together, and again, sounds like an incredible, good book. That one won 2 awards, historical fiction and debut, for the Goodreads choice. So those are your 3 options, and I am glad I'm not picking, because they are so different and they all sound phenomenal. So I am excited to see what y'all pick. You are going to have 1 week. I will set up the poll as soon as this video goes up, but you can go over to my community tab to vote for which book you would prefer. And I will be closing the poll on next Friday, which I believe is January 5th. 6 p.m. Central, that's Texas time. So closing at 6 p.m. Friday, January 5th. And all goes well, I will be back on a Saturday, January 6th with the announcement of which book won and a hard schedule for when we will be reading this book together. Right now, I am definitely looking towards the middle of January, so you should have time to get the book. I would say we won't begin before the 15th, but I need to look at a calendar, and I'll get you hard dates on the 5th. Hopefully that'll be enough time for everybody to grab a copy of the book. Okay, I'm excited to see what y'all are picking. Thank you so much for your wonderful suggestions. Again, you've made me a wish list. Although quite a few of the books I already owned, so that was good. All right, I will see y'all in just a couple of days with maybe my Sims TBR game. I think that might be what's scheduled next. Anyway, keep an eye out and subscribe. I will see y'all very soon, I hope. Bye. Chris Bajalian. And as she chose The Flight Attendant by Chris. Damn it. Chris Bajalian. Bajalian. And she has pulled The Flight Attendant by Chris Bajalian. That was kind of fun. Last but not least, we have Sarah Hart's books.